now begin the Finance and Operations Committee. The meeting of the Finance and Operations Committee meeting will please come to order. I will now turn it over to Dr. Haig.
Thank you, Board President Brown. And I will turn it over to Mr. Rogers to give us an overview of the agenda.
Tonight we have one agenda item that is informational. It's the Use of Facilities System Implementation Update. District Administration, more specifically the Controller of the District, Marvin Lee, will give an update on the progress we've made implementing the new Use of Facilities program, Facilitron, and also give a little overview for the public on how they can interact with the system. So at this time, I'd like to hand it over to Marvin and allow him to do his presentation.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Marvin Lee from the Business Office, and thank you very much for the opportunity to give you an update on the Use of Facilities System implementation. Next page, please. So a quick recap of what we presented in June 2020. So the Business Office made a case about implementing a new Use of Facilities system through Facilitron over the summer. And during the last presentation, we briefly talked about the Use of Facilities profile based on the fiscal year 19. So we had 67 unique outside users, and they're mostly recurring users. And we had 173 total requests, 94 were indoor events, and 79 were outdoor events. And our community users were on our property nearly 6,000 days in our fiscal year 19, 2,500 indoor days, and more than 3,400 outdoor days. And 96% of the total use of facilities were related to athletic events. We also explained the benefits of switching to the new system. We wanted to improve the community user experience. We wanted to improve the internal processes. We also wanted to improve communications to all parties and consolidate all calendars into one master calendar. Next page, please. So here's the life cycle of each request. So step number one, the external user will create an online account and throw a request to the Facilitron website. Just to make sure that everybody has the internet access, the Recreation Office made a desktop available to public to use. After the request is submitted, the Facilitron team will review the insurance information and they'll collect the associated fees before the request is presented to our principals. Once the basic requirements are met, our principals will review and approve the request. And there's one thing I would like to mention about the principal approval process. The secondary school sporting venues, such as high school stadium, swimming pool, or basketball court, will be approved by the district athletic director before the request is presented to the principal. We wanted to make sure that our own athletes have priority over external users. After the principal approval, the business office will collect the relevant information and present the use of facilities report to the board for review and approval. Once they're fully approved, all users will receive email notification with their permits. And finally, on the date of the event, the Recreation Department will make sure the external users have access to the site. Next page, please. So here's what we have done so far to implement the system. Obviously, we had to get approval from the board to move forward with the Facilitron new system. And the contract was fully approved. If you remember the terms, we have a great deal. We pay 10% of the gross fees for the use of facility system, and we pay additional 4% of the gross fees for the work order management system. The website is fully built in the Facilitron website with our own information, and the Upper Darby School District website is updated as well. And at this time, all three calendars are fully integrated into a single platform. Now we can see UDSD master calendar, school-based activity calendar, and outside user facilities calendar into a single platform. I would like to thank Rhonda and Bartolinsky for making this happen for us. And the staff and principal were fully trained on how to use the system, and our Recreation Department reached out to 67 organizations either through phone, email, or regular mail at this time. And the website is available to the public right now. One more thing, the Facilities Management Department also started having conversations about building the work order management system with Facilitron. We are very excited to have the work order management system, but we will probably we'll tackle that after the school opening. Next page, please. So this is what the outside users will see when they access our website. They will see the thumbnails of our schools. If they click on each school, each user will see available spaces in each school. They will be able to see what the spaces can be used for, and the cost and the available dates. Once they select the site, space, date, and time, they can move forward with the reservation process. Again, if you're familiar with a basic e-commerce website like Amazon.com or Airbnb.com, you will have no problem going through the process. If you have any issues, you can reach out to Flitron or Lynn in our recreation office. Lynn's contact information is on our website. As of now, we have a default pictures of our spaces in the website, but once the Flitron's travel restriction is lifted, a professional photographer will be visiting all our websites, take pictures, and upload those new pictures into our website. So outside users will be able to see what each space actually looks like. Next page, please. The final page is about the use of facilities during the pandemic. So there's a lot of conversation, discussion locally, statewide, and also nationally. As of today, we will not allow any indoor use of spaces by outside users, but we will allow outside use of space with the submission of health and safety plan of each event. So if any organization wants to use outside of the use of the building, they will have to sign an acknowledgement form saying that they're going to be following their own health and safety plan. That concludes my presentation. I'll take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. I was hoping to hear a little bit more about what we expect from the health and safety plan, because I think our community groups that have been using the fields will want to know more. Can you say a little bit more about what we expect?
Sure. Yeah, so we developed the acknowledgement form based on the school district's athletic health and safety plan that was approved by the board on July 14th of 2020. So that guidelines include the temperature checking prior to the event, use of hand sanitizers and disinfectant wipes, wearing mask protocols, social distancing protocols, and finally the maximum allowed number of users in each event based on the status of our locality. So yellow phase will allow 25 people, and the green phase will allow 250 people. So our acknowledgement form basically mirrors our school district's athletic health and safety plan.
Great, thank you. I want to open it up to other comments from the board.
Thank you, Dr. Haig. Thank you, Marvin, for your presentation. In regards to the professional photography, is it just indoor or is it also outdoor photography that will be taking place? And will they be using like a drone to take aerial photos? Because I know if you look on Google Maps, fields that we have renovated still are not showing up, and so I want to make sure that we have like the most up-to-date photos, even if it's aerial.
Sure. Yes, so the photo will be based on for indoor and outdoor, and we will ask whether they're going to be using the drones. But if they don't have that drone, we can provide our own pictures to them so they can use our pictures.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Dr. McGarry?
Go ahead.
I want to follow up to some of the comments that Marvin is providing and to Dr. Haig's questions. Dr. Manfrey and I met with the Clifton Palin Boys Club last evening and talked about some of these very requests about the use of facilities and use of fields. Following up what Marvin's talking about as regarding our health and safety plan, not only for the reopening of schools, but also for our athletic plan. We have an athletic plan that's been approved that we will adhere to, how we strengthen, condition our athletes. I'd like to follow up that our youth programs would like to have access to our facilities. What we're proposing, and I've already reached out to the township as well, and I let them know that we would be having this conversation this evening, that we'd like to propose some kind of a process where you would review our district plan for reopening, meeting the CDC guidelines and Chester County Department of Health guidelines, as well as our health plan that we have for athletic programs. Submit a health plan, and we'll have somewhat of a template for them to look at and refer to complete and turn that in. We'll review that, and then we'll bring that to the board for the board's approval using our outside facilities. If we hear, and we will make this clear to those who want permit of our fields and our facilities, that they are not following the recommended guidelines regarding having anyone participating or watching the event wearing a mask, we will also require them for a meeting with us, strike one, to play on the baseball analogies this evening. Let them know that the next time there could be an opportunity where we would ask them to take on the responsibility in their running of the program for us to have someone oversee the health plan and report back to us that they're not following the health plan guidelines at a cost to their youth league. If at that point in time they cannot get those who are participating in their program to follow these recommendations, the third strike would be we would revoke that permit and unfortunately have to shut down the use of our external facilities. Regarding internal facilities, I do not believe we will be allowing that to happen until there is a relaxing of the number of people in a space at one time and until we can return for full instruction with our students in our buildings. This is simply a review on how we can allow outside activities to take place. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Marvin. Really, really good presentation, and I just had a quick question for you, if you don't mind. Now, thinking of the new way that we're going to be processing facilities requests, I'm thinking of branding, our messaging, our overarching message, as well as the equity piece. And specifically, I'm looking at keyword opportunity as well as equity. And the question ultimately for you, Marvin, is of the people that had used our facilities in the group from last year, do you feel, in your view, that it represents the makeup of the community as a whole? And if not, do you see that there's an opportunity for us to reach out to other areas of the community that might not have even been aware that they could actually rent at very little cost, or rather at a reasonable cost to them, some of these facilities that our taxpayers have been very generous in allowing us to upkeep all these years? So what are your thoughts?
So we haven't really done a demographic study of our users at this time, but our community users have a significant discount of using our facilities. So I think that's something that we can look into with Vanda, to reaching out to different communities to make sure they have the facilities available for their use.
I want to follow up to that as well. In the conversations that we had last evening, one of the things we have to work on as a school district is this guaranteed, I put a permit in and the building and facility is mine for a year, but that I don't show up and use it. What we're finding out is some youth leagues want to use it on a Saturday, and another youth organization has it blocked out for a Saturday, but they're not even using it. That has to stop. You know, this equity piece I think is important. It also has to be a situation where if there's an open space and no one's using it, we have to let someone access it to use it. We found out in our conversations last evening with some youth programs and other youth programs that there's been a history, and we're coming to understand this in this administration now, of blocking out certain facilities a year at a time, but not using them necessarily. And that prevents equitable access to those who would actually like to use them. That will no longer be allowable in this process.
Yes, I just have two quick questions. Are there, I don't know where it is, maybe Mr. Lee or Mr. Rogers can direct me to it. Are there guidelines for the use of facilities, like for nonprofits, or are there any requirements for the use of facilities, or can anyone just request it?
So if anybody wants to access those, they can go right onto the Board Docs website and pull down the policies for policy 707.
So if they go to use the new system, will it direct them? Will it have a link to it so they'll know, you know, what the requirements that are in place are, or are they expected to go to Board Docs, get that information, and then come back out and go to the link that may or may? Is the link on our? Will the link be on our website? I guess that's one of the questions.
The link is on our website, and I'll let Marvin speak to the breakdown once you're on Facilitron, because I do believe as you go in, it's almost somewhat of like a drop down. What type of organization are you? And it feeds the information in. Now that goes straight to our recreation department. Mm-hmm. And if there was a outside organization that's, let's say, has no affiliation with Upper Darby, they would vet that in accordance with our policy. So
Okay.
the request will come in, and if they see at Recreation any kind of whether they have questions or not, and that's how it works currently, they'll reach out before it even makes it to the business office, actually, let alone the board. So by the time they make it to the board, you should be rest assured that it was within the board's policy, and they would vet anybody prior to that, because there are times where we've had requests put in, and they may not be by a Upper Darby resident. And then you find out, well, the group has a majority of them, or the resident just so happens the person who did the work to put the request in wasn't.
not.
So they'll submit another one that goes within our policy. And that happens on a regular basis. That would still be from our recreation department as they got the request in from Facilitron.
Okay, once they do a request and it's approved and it's a legitimate organization, is a profile created for that organization so that it's easier the next time, or do they have to do the exact same thing every time?
I will, Marvin, if you want to speak to that, I do believe that they may create some type of username. Marvin?
I can answer that, Marvin. He's asking, is there a profile created? Remember when the organization have to register? He's asking if there's a profile that shortens the process so that, one, all of their basic information is already populated when they go onto the application, and two, the vetting process is shortened the next time they apply. So the answer to the first one is yes. As far as the vetting, because each event is different, the answer is no.
Okay, thank you very much.
So there is a human aspect to this. Someone needs help navigating this online system, correct?
Yes,
That's correct.
Okay. I know in the past sometimes community members have called me, asking questions about how to do this. I think this takes some of those issues that people were encountering with going to the recreation department off. But I want to make sure there is someone that they can call if they have questions. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yes, we do have a person available in the recreation office, and we do also have a computer, desktop computer available for the external users in the recreation.
Awesome. All right, and just one more question. How do they pay? I know there's like a nominal fee to use some facilities depending on the circumstances. How will they be paying through Facilitron as well?
Yes, Facilitron will be collecting those fees through credit card or the bank transactions or even PayPal.
Okay.
And they will send us a monthly revenue to us on a monthly basis.
Will users still be able to pay by check or cash?
Check, yes. Cash, no.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Ms. Buford, are there any other comments from the board? And if not, are there comments from the public?
Dr. Hegg, there are no comments from the board or the public.
Since that is our only agenda item, I believe it's time to move to public comment.
I did ask Ms. Buford if there was public comment. She said there was none. Correct, Ms. Buford?
That's correct.
Sorry, if that was supposed to happen after the agenda review, Mr. Rogers. I missed the protocol. So shall we turn it back to Mr. Brown for adjournment?
Thank you, Dr. Haig. A motion is in order for the adjournment of the Finance and Operations Committee meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Well, second,
Second.
David Neal.
Thank you, David Neal. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Meeting is adjourned. Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.